Hey guys, this has been a long time coming. It's been a while since I published my thoughts on Batman v Superman on the YouTube, and so I'm back with another discussion video. And because I haven't been uploading many review videos, I decided to make this a combination of a discussion and review video on what exactly? Well, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm not talking about, all of the Marvel movies. I'm just talking about the Disney ones, which are technically the Marvel movies, the real Marvel movies, because the rest are owned by, Sony, Fox, all that. Anyway, I was going to be ranking all of these Marvel movies in preparation for Captain America: Civil War, the movie I'm anticipating most this year. I hope it's great. I'm not going to say, that it's going to be the best thing ever, because that'll be, kind of fanboying it, and I kind of, hate on that in the Batman v Superman thing. So I'm just going to say that I'm pumped for it. It looks cool by a trailer, and that's all I'm going to say. But anyway, I wanted to give my thoughts on what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, and the movies that are in it. Marvel Cinematic Universe, I've been watching it since Iron Man came out, 2008. It was the beginning of just this great, huge, massive superhero films, and I've been watching every single one in theaters, except for the two Thor movies. Thor 1 and Thor: The Dark World, they're the only Marvel movies I haven't seen in theaters that belong to Disney. I've been going to the movie theater to see every single other Marvel movie since Iron Man, and it's been fun. I mean, I have to admit that before I start this ranking, none of them have gotten burnt popcorn. None of them. With that said, let's get into this rankings.
Number 12. Thor: The Dark World. Worlds collide when a powerful ancient enemy threatens to plunge the cosmos into eternal darkness. Now, reunited with Jane Foster and forced to forge an alliance with his treacherous brother Loki, Thor embarks on a perilous personal quest to save both Earth and Asgard from destruction.
All yours.
Anyone else?
When it comes to Thor, he is a great hero. He brings a certain strength to the Avengers. He is funny, he is awesome, and he's a demigod. God of thunder. So, yeah, he's pretty cool. But the thing is, his movies are sadly not that great. Thor: The Dark World is my least favorite Marvel movie. And here's why. My number one problem with Thor: The Dark World is Jane Foster. I know, Natalie Portman, she looks stunning, she looks great. But the thing is, whenever you have a movie centered around her and not Thor, it can be rather frustrating. Jane Foster. What this movie's about, Thor: The Dark World. It's about these dark elves that come to wreak havoc on Asgard and all the other realms, including Earth. Because apparently they just want to take over the world. I mean, Odin's father did some bad things to them back in the day, and they have been long forgotten until someone resurrected them. Don't mean to point out names, but Jane Foster. Yeah, Jane Foster runs into an Infinity Stone. It all becomes about her, and yeah. Problems with Thor besides just Jane Foster. The villains, the Dark Elves, even though they look cool, they look great, they don't do much for me. They aren't that menacing. I mean, they looked awesome in the beginning fight scene. The beginning scenes of Thor movies, I will say, are fantastic, phenomenal, great. But the movie tends to wane after that. They had a great opening sequence, and they had some terrific action sequences in this. And the cinematography was great. The certain tones and colors of the worlds and the realms, and Asgard especially, those were fantastic. The acting was pretty good. It had a lot of good comedy. But overall, it was just okay. It was mediocre. It was just, it was okay. it's a fun movie to sit through at times. I will say that just whenever it switches over to Jane Foster and her complaining about Thor not being around her and her annoying friend Darcy talking to her a bunch, that could, annoy me a bit. But, it is what it is. And I just had to mark movie for that. Other points, Loki, he's great in this. Odin, he's really good in this. Any other characters I mentioned, I really can't think of any. I mean, this movie was just a race to get another Infinity Stone and to stop an evil guy from taking over the world or blowing up the galaxies. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Something I wish that the Thor movies would be more like is just about Thor going around the realms, kicking some butt, taking names, and just doing something awesome. I mean, it would be great to have an adventure with him just going to different realms and just us being able to see these galaxies unfold. But the thing is, a lot of the Thor movies are constricted. They are just held to Earth alone. And I wish that we could go and explore more of these realms and see Thor do some great things. But Thor: The Dark World it keeps getting put back on Earth. It keeps having Thor go back to Earth because of Jane Foster, and this is the whole ordeal we are dealing with here. I just wish that it would go some other direction other than this. If they set it up to be a movie where the Dark Elves were taking over the 9 realms, if they were going to destroy all of that, and we weren't focused so much on Earth, but the thing is, other citizens of different realms, and Thor has to go and protect these people and be their hero. If he could do that, we could get like bonuses of just seeing these different cultures and seeing Thor fight without having to have, Jane in there or Earth ties. I'm going to give Thor: The Dark World a 76%, which equals a C+, which equals juicy popcorn.
Number 11, Iron Man 2. With the world now aware of his dual life as the armored superhero Iron Man, billionaire inventor Tony Stark faces pressure from the government, the press, and the public to share his technology with the military. Unwilling to let go of his invention, Stark, along with Pepper Potts and James Rhodey Rhodes at his side, must forge new alliances and confront powerful new enemies.
Coming off of Iron Man, which was a phenomenal movie, and then going from Incredible Hulk, we get to Iron Man 2, which we've been waiting for a while to see Iron Man back in action, Jon Favreau back in his director's seat, Tony Stark back on the big screen. We were waiting for this for a while, and I remember going to theaters to see this, and I left disappointed. Whenever I first saw Iron Man 2, and I forget what year it was, I feel like it was 2010. I was probably 12 years old. So my initial reaction of this was boring, slow, too much dialogue, not enough action. I rewatched it probably last year. It's been a while. It's the one I have least seen. I've seen every single Marvel movie at least twice. This one I've seen twice. I haven't seen more than that. And I barely remember it. But the thing is, I have enough memory to go along with this ranking and reviewing of it. It's an interesting plot, but the thing is, the story comes off rather dull. We are out of the origin story. So they had to come up with new ideas here. And the thing is, the story was slow, and I will admit it was slow. There was quite a bit of dialogue, a lot of scenes that felt filler. Tony Stark's conflict with this Whiplash guy. Whiplash, of course, wasn't the greatest of villains either. He was just a simple guy who was just a little weird, and he decided to go and try to kill Tony Stark. I mean, he he's not the type of villain that could hold up this movie. And they needed two villains, which Sam Rockwell came in. But the thing is, even he himself did not even hold much weight to this. This movie had some great action sequences. The ending was really cool with Rhodey and Iron Man in action, shooting up all these robots. It was great. It was phenomenal. And there were scenes that I did like in this movie, watching it again. And I did like it more than the first time I saw it. But the thing is, it's no Iron Man. No first movie. There was just, it just didn't have that touch. It was just bland in a way. It was okay. It was fine. But that's all I could really say about it. There's nothing really punchy about this movie. Nothing really draws you in. It's just there. And it could be entertaining at times, but it's just there. And that's all I can say about this movie. I'm going to give Iron Man 2 a 79%, which equals a C+, which also equals juicy popcorn.
Number 10. Iron Man 3. When Tony Stark finds his entire world reduced to rubble, he must use all his ingenuity to survive, destroy his enemy, and somehow protect those he loves. But a soul-searching question haunts him. Does the man make the suit, or does the suit make the man?
We do need backup.
That's your department.
Here's my boys.
Iron Man 3. Man, another Iron Man in a row after Iron Man 2. I saw this movie back in 2013. Of course, that's when it came out. I had the option between Star Trek Into Darkness and Iron Man 3. I went with Iron Man 3 because, gotta keep up the Marvel love, man. You gotta keep going to see these movies. And I will say, I loved this movie at first. I thought it was great, entertaining, fun, just amazing. And it was actually my top 5 Marvel movies. But after rewatching it again, which was quite recent, and actually probably a couple months ago, I had to bring down this film score. The problem with Iron Man 3 is it wasn't bold enough. If by bold enough, I mean it did not take any risks in telling this story. The villain of this was the Mandarin, which ended up going into extremists a little bit. And the thing is, our villain here was good at first. They hinted at him a lot. It was great. It was awesome. Once you get towards the end, though, and I won't spoil it, all that's pretty much thrown out. It goes into this weird transition into this real villain here that was eventually just a fail at the end. This movie felt like just your typical superhero movie that's okay, but nothing bold, nothing great. It had a lot of great action scenes, slow motion scenes, and there was a good struggle with Iron Man after the effects of New York, an Avengers movie, where he was having anxiety problems. That took up most of this movie, I will say, but I do like how it built his character up, Tony Stark, and I do like how this struggle was overcome at the end. We got a great narration, and it was a great closing to the Iron Man franchise. I just wish that this movie was better. The dialogue, it felt okay. It was more juvenile, just basically they're telling us the whole plot here, and it's rather predictable. And the thing that holds this thing up mostly is the action sequences, and whenever we get to the dialogue and the mystery here, it just seems to flop a little bit. It seems to flail. Other than Tony Stark's, problems with post-Avengers, there's not much weight to this story. It's just us seeing Mandarin threaten and then leave, and then Extremist comes in, then leaves, and then Iron Man just going through different strokes here. And that's basically Iron Man 3. That's all we get. I was disappointed seeing it a second time because it just really brought my mood down a little bit, because I actually really did like the movie. But the thing is, it still is an entertaining movie. It's still fun, but it can just drag, and it can have moments that are just dull, like Iron Man 2. And it's a little better than Iron Man 2, though, because it's actually more compelling, which is why I give Iron Man 3 in 80%, which equals a B-, which equals juicy popcorn.
Number 9. Captain America, the First Avenger. Steve Rogers came of an age in an era of global turmoil, and despite a bevy of physical deficiencies, he wanted nothing more than a chance to serve his country. Recruited by a top-secret program by Dr. Abraham Erskine, Steve's frail body is transformed into the ultimate super soldier, the powerful and heroic Captain America. Now the world's greatest hero, he wages on war on the evil Hydra organization, led by the villainous Red Skull.
What do you think?
I think it works.
And Captain America, the First Avenger. There's a lot of hate in this movie. A lot of people say it's mediocre, not that great. Well, you know, I had a fun time watching it. It was lighthearted, it was fun, it was nice seeing Cap in action, and Chris Evans did a great job as Captain America, even though at times I felt like he was just, you know, the golden child, and he wasn't that much gritty as he should be. But, you know, that's for later. We're just getting a feel for this character right now, and that's pretty much what this thing is. It's an origin story. It's set in the 1940s, which was great, by the way. Setting was great. Lingo was great. Style was great. It was just nice to see visually. And this movie had a lot of good scenes in it, a lot of great action, some good lines, I will admit. And Red Skull was really good. I really liked Red Skull. He was played by... I forgot his name, but he did play Mr. Smith in The Matrix. I forget his name, and I'm going to remember it once I make this video, but he is a great actor, and he did a great job as Red Skull. This movie was just all around fun to watch. My only problems with it, though, is that in terms of the comics, it did tweak little things. It did change certain things. I'm not an avid comic reader, but I do know Cap's origin story, and they did change it around a bit, which can put a damper on my mood a bit. I would like it to follow the comics a little more, but besides that, there are some roadblocks in the story. Certain things will just trail off from in the main story arc, just certain dialogue scenes. Some of it builds character, other it just feels like filler. And the whole experience, I wish it was just a little bit more gritty, instead of just seeing Captain America go around in some tight suit. And at times, for most of this movie, he wasn't even Captain America. Well, actually, I wouldn't say that. I'd say halfway in, he becomes Captain America. The other part, he's just going around to plays and cheering up the soldiers by being Captain America on stage. Yeah, that could really just trail off in the story. But overall, it was a fun movie. I did like watching it. And it's always an entertaining movie to sit down and watch with your friends and just have a good time. I'm going to give Captain America the First Avenger 81%, which equals a B-, which equals juicy popcorn. I know I put it above Iron Man 3 by just 1 point, but Iron Man 3, even though I hate on it a little more than I did, or quite a bit more than Captain America First Avenger, I still think Iron Man 3 is an entertaining film, and it's a pretty good release.
Number 8. Thor. The heir to the legendary throne of Asgard is a brave but restless warrior who longs for glory in the rush of battle. Armed with the mighty hammer of Mjolnir, Thor is really unstoppable with the weapon in his hands. When the arrogant prince is banished from Earth from his homeworld of Asgard, he must fight to reclaim his lost powers. Pursued by an enemy sent to destroy him, the fallen god of thunder must rise to battle and learn what it takes to become a true hero.
You are a vain, greedy, cruel boy.
You are an old man and a fool!
You're unworthy!
Father.
And now take from you your power! And I cast you out!
I will say right off the bat that Thor is a fan favorite film of mine. Although I say it's my fan favorite, I did put it in 8th place, and that's because this movie, in terms of the other films in the Marvel Universe, it was good. It was good, and it definitely didn't feel like a comic book movie should. In terms of Thor, I think Thor deserved a little bit more in this movie, but I still thought it was an entertaining, fun ride. It was pretty funny, and I just loved just watching it, because Thor, one thing they have in this movie is Thor trying to deal with Earth, like its customs. This movie's about Thor, how he has grown up to be the rightful heir to the throne of Odin. But the thing is, Odin sees him as a jerk face. He doesn't think he's capable of holding this power. And the thing is, he casts him out to Earth, which, like I said, Thor has to deal with the customs of Earth, and it is really fun to watch. It's always a treat. Every single time I watch it, I still laugh, especially that scene with the cup. It's just good. Give me another.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
It's a fun movie to watch, and it does, compared to Thor: The Dark World, it is definitely more enjoyable. I can watch it many times, and besides just Thor dealing with Earth, there are other great little things that you can find in this movie. Loki, we see him for the first time. It is great. Their fight with the Frost Giants is even more awesome. And this whole sort of struggle with Thor and his brother, and how his brother tries to trick him into thinking that they are good friends and Thor. And whenever Loki is just trying to take over Odin's throne, he hates Thor so much. It's just nice to see unfold. And Thor realizing this, and even towards this climactic ending, which is very good to watch, I will say, at the Rainbow Bridge. It is just, it's a good movie to watch. And I do find that critics do hate on it a little more than they should. My problems with this movie, like I said before, it pales in comparison to the ones I'm going to put after it. It felt more like a comedy than a superhero movie at times, and that's kind of the direction they like to go with these Thor movies. I just wish that they made Thor a little more edgy and actually an awesome hero, instead of us just picking fun on him like all the time in this movie. That's my only complaint. Well, not my only complaint. There's a couple complaints, but usually stuff is minor, and I would like to see Thor battle more in the 9 realms, which I mentioned for in Thor: The Dark World. Hopefully we could get this in Thor Ragnarok. These movies, the Thor movies, they're okay. Thor is definitely a fan favorite of mine, but it could have been better. And for that, I give it an 84%, which equals a B-, which equals juicy popcorn.
Number 7. Ant-Man. Armed with the astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength, Master Thief Scott Lang must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, protect the secret behind his spectacular Ant-Man suit from a new generation of towering threats. That sounds alright.
I'm Ant-Man. I know. It wasn't my idea.
Now, number 7 and number 6 are definitely going hand in hand in terms of score. I gave them the same rating, but the thing is, I think a little bit more of one than the other. And number 7 would have to be Ant-Man. Ant-Man was a movie that I knew from the start by the trailers it wasn't going to be as great as the other movies. It just had that feeling, and it looked like, you know, they didn't take their character seriously, which they did not. This movie was fun, I do admit. I watched it recently. I watched it actually a couple days ago. Wanted to refresh my mind because I've only seen it once. And there are some good qualities about this movie. It's definitely more lighthearted in terms of the other movies. It is more comedic. They definitely want to go for the comedy instead of just superhero fighting. And there are just some great things about it. The special effects are just beautiful. Whenever Paul Rudd shrinks down to the size of an ant, it is just great visuals. I like to see this stuff unfold. It was just an all-around, just awesome movie visually. The acting was pretty good. You have Michael Douglas, who played a phenomenal role as Hank Pym. You have Paul Rudd, who played Scott Lang. And then you have Evangeline Lilly, who played Wasp. And you had Corey Stoll, or Stroll, can't remember if there's an R in there, who played the villain, Yellow Jacket. Well, I wish they had Hank Pym as the main guy instead of Scott Lang, because that would have been a way funner movie. And it's what Ant-Man should be. This movie, my huge concern with it is how it didn't take Ant-Man seriously. This was more of a comedy, and every single time they would say the word Ant-Man, they just laugh it off. I wish Ant-Man was taken more seriously. I just wish that we could have had a more deep story with this, something more invested in its character instead of just joking about him the whole time. The villain is my second main concern, which is Yellow Jacket was probably the worst villain out of Marvel, and by worst I mean bad, not good. Pretty much all I did was just rub his hands together and shrink a sheep and turn a guy into goo, and that was pretty much it. That's all the guy did. He wasn't menacing. He wasn't really anything. He was just some guy that was bald, and apparently because bald people are evil, he was evil. This movie was very enjoyable. I will say, I wouldn't put it above Thor if it wasn't. It was just a fun movie to watch, and I know I say fun a lot, but that's pretty much the general adjective of Marvel. This movie is good to watch with your friends for some background noise, just something to sit through, just something to put on during the day, and it's definitely a time slot filler, but it works for a number of reasons. It works for reasons I've stated before, and that's just what I think about Ant-Man. It wasn't bold, it didn't try to do anything extraordinary, but it was good for what it was. And for that, I give Ant-Man a 86%, which equals a B+, which equals juicy popcorn.
Number 6. The Incredible Hulk. After a gamma experiment gone awry, the brilliant and mild-mannered scientist Dr. Bruce Banner finds himself with a peculiar condition. When angered or provoked, he transforms into an uncontrollable green-skinned monster. Now, being hunted by a secret military force, Banner desperately searches for a cure to the gamma radiation that has poisoned his cells and created his alter ego, known as the Hulk.
Say what you will, guys. Say what you will. But I liked this movie, okay? I just liked it. I thought it was really good. Edward Norton. Why? Why couldn't Edward Norton be Bruce Banner in the later installments? Oh yeah, I know, because Marvel cheated him out of his contract. Gave him some creative control, but the thing is, they're like, hey, yo, you don't get that creative control. Apparently wanted to be a darker film, which I could see it could have been a little more dark. This movie is the most forgettable out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, not necessarily forgettable. I would say there are some that are also forgettable. Iron Man 2, Thor: The Dark World. But it's definitely the least attached to any of the Marvel movies. And that is because the cast doesn't even show back up. This movie was... it didn't do well in the box office in terms of critics and in terms of money. And the only character coming back is General Ross, who's going to be in Civil War. It took that long for some person from this movie to come back. This movie, it definitely had its issues. The writing could be rather plain. It could be just simple. This movie spent a lot of time at just seeing Bruce Banner run instead of them actually just sit down and do some heavy dialogue. But there are a lot of good pros with this. One is that he's not Hulk all of the time. We don't have to see him be Hulk just for him to have a good role. This Edward Norton is Bruce Banner. He struggles with this. He is actually fighting this green monster off inside of him the whole movie. We only see a couple times where Hulk comes on screen. Yes, the special effects have become a little outdated now. It could definitely look a little bad at times, but whenever he comes on screen, because it shows it only a few times, it is so great and so rewarding to see Hulk on screen instead of having him on all the time. The acting was okay. Edward Norton definitely played the better role. Whoever played General Ross, which I forget his name, he did a really good job as well. And the woman that played his love interest, which I am just forgetting names here, Liv Tyler, I think that was her name. She did a good role as well. The villain of this, Abomination, was a good villain. It did take a long time for him to even show up, and this movie was kind of just absent of a true villain. It was basically just the government the whole time. But there was a lot of just good qualities of this. I just loved watching this. It was just, it's kind of just, this movie is very, it takes a heavy opinion. You really can't be subjective about it. It's either you like it or you don't necessarily like it. There's really no in between. You'd be okay, I guess. But no one really thought this movie was great. And this movie isn't that great. It has its flaws, but the thing is, I like to watch it. I can put it in every now and then. I'll have a good time. And that's what serves as purpose of The Incredible Hulk. I just wish they carried on a little more with it. Maybe develop the story a little more and have Edward Norton actually see what he wanted to create, which was a darker story, which would have been a little better. And for that, I give The Incredible Hulk an 86%, which equals Juicy Popcorn, which also equals a B+. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for tuning into this, and I'm sorry for it being so loose. I'm just trailing off at times, but I feel like this was a suitable video, and I can't wait for the next one, part 2, where I go up to all from number 5 to number 1. See you guys next time.